What's up, guys? Auto Fanatics. So today's video, I'm going to do a little POV drive review on a brand new 2025 Tesla Model 3 Performance. As you can see it here. Now, this is considered a facelift model, and my friend that owns it said it's significantly better in terms of build quality, handling, and performance versus the 2021 that I showed on the channel a couple years ago. So you can kind of see it. It doesn't really look like much of a facelift to me. We do have much nicer looking wheels, and I did take off those wheel inserts. It looks a lot better. We have a matte carbon spoiler, and we also have the Tesla Plaid logo over here. But other than that, everything is pretty much the same. I'll show you guys the back real quick. It's pretty much the same car all the way through. Really nice white artificial leather, but it actually looks really nice in terms of the aesthetic. Plenty of storage space, plenty of cargo space for passengers. You got your screen in the back now, and we'll show you guys up front. So the facelift model, the new one, we do no longer have stalks on the steering column. So everything, your turn signals are on here, and everything is through the interface on the dash. You can kind of see it. So it is a supercomputer that doubles as a high performance hatch car that's pretty versatile and pretty practical, and that's why there's so many of these things on the road. So I'm going to take it up. We're going to get up on our highway. We're going to see how it drives on the highway, and then we're going to take it on some of my favorite back roads over by the shop, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts as far as what do I think of this car and how does it compare in terms of handling, performance, and value. But overall, I'm excited to get in it. It's been a few years since I've driven a Tesla, and like I said, this is in a completely different category than all the cars that I own and work on, but I think it's definitely cool when the opportunity arises to jump in the car, drive it, get some feedback, and share it on the channel. So let's go for a drive right now. We'll talk some more about it as I'm driving it, and then I'll give you guys a conclusion at the end of this video. Let's go for a ride. So we're gonna go into dynamics, and something that the car is doing that I don't know how to turn off. The older model that I showed on the channel, man, this thing's got some power. The one thing I'm noticing, there is a lot of wind noise coming from the left A-pillar area. Like I said, it could just be a build quality issue or some little molding that's a little bit out of whack, but I mean, the car drives smooth, drives well. So as soon as you let off the accelerator, the car is automatically braking, like slowing down. So it's like a regen thing in the setting, and I have not been able to figure it out because it's probably locked into his customizable settings, and I'm a new user of the car, so I probably can't unlock it because I can't seem to undo this feature. So acceleration, we have chill, standard, insane, we're gonna go there, sport, and then steering weight, we got standard, light, and heavy. We'll keep it on heavy. What's really cool about this car, it's really like the ultimate supercomputer that you're buying, and then it comes with the car to get you to point A to point B. Look at this. I mean, you could see every single car in your surrounding is showing up on this live feed right now. It's really impressive. Look at that. Really, really cool. I mean, there's just a lot going on. And if you're a tech person, if you like this, then this is going to be the ultimate experience where it's going to give you all these bells and whistles. I just want to talk about how does it drive. I'm not a big tech guy. I do like a lot of this because it's very similar to like a lot of the Apple products, and it's very user friendly. The up and down to go into the drive, park, and forward mode, it's just a little weird. And then you got your blinkers here, so you got to hit it twice to cancel. That's a little tough to get used to. And I know Ferrari's been doing that too. They're putting it on the stalks. Like when you're driving fast, if you got to make a quick transition, you're kind of used to the memory of just hitting the stalk, and this doesn't really have that. Yeah, I hear a whistle coming from the left side. But like I said, you know, based on the earlier models, they switched production of these cars, I believe, over to Texas. They were initially made out in California, and they had a lot of QC issues, like the paint quality, the fit and finish. There's just a lot of rattles. This definitely feels far better built than the one that I showed in the channel. It's just weird. As soon as I let off the accelerator, it's just vroom, dragging me down with the regen. So it's kind of forcing me to stay at a rapid pace. I'm not sure why he has it set up that way. Steering wheel's a good diameter, feels good in your hands. It's just weird that I don't have gauges and I don't have anything in front of me. Great visibility all the way around the car. I don't see any potential blind spots or any concern about that. suspension feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I mean, we're on, it's a somewhat windy, November day, and the car is shaped like a jelly bean, in my opinion, aerodynamically. And I do feel the car being pulled quite a bit by the crosswinds that are coming through over here. That it could just be a normal attribute of this car, I don't know. But believe it or not, there's a lot of cars that do that. But overall, like I said, if you're into an electric EV experience, I mean, this is definitely cool. I just don't think I would ever want this. This doesn't really appeal to me. Oh, we got an accident over here. Okay, so we're in the insane speed. So let's see. Yeah, this thing's crazy. This thing will jump 20 miles an hour in an instant flash. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, we don't have, like I said, we don't have any gear noise. We don't have any noise except the wind noise that I'm hearing. It's a little bit annoying, but we'll just have to deal with it. This is just, an initial drive review. I just want to kind of talk about the car itself. We're going to break off the highway in a few moments, and I'm going to take it on some of the back roads over by the shop, and we'll whip it through those roads. I want to kind of see dynamically. You see, I'm getting used to the stalkless blinkers. You just got to build that muscle memory, and then it becomes, easy. Same thing with all of this stuff. Once you learn it once you go through it, it's quite intuitive on how they integrated everything. And there's no physical buttons for anything really, except your window switches. And then you have a couple of buttons on the steering wheel, but there's no HVAC buttons, there's no radio buttons, no volume. Everything is done through the main computer interface. Yeah, other than the crosswind that I feel it pulling the car. Like, I don't think I would want to, on a day like today, I don't think I would want to drive this car with one hand. I think the wind is going to kind of possibly keep you out of the lane. So you want to definitely keep this car with two hands. Not only that, because of the power and the performance that this thing could put out. This is not like an internal combustion engine. This is like you hit the throttle, accelerator, and it's just gonna boom, throw you into the seat, and you feel it. The seats are incredible. Really great seat. Ergonomically, they feel awesome. Bolsters feel awesome. The adjustments feel great. I actually have the heated seat on right now. Feels great. And aesthetically, I think they look absolutely awesome. And also the fact that this car has a rear hatch, for the cargo space, the Model 3 definitely is a very practical car. And there's a reason why, where I live in New York, Westchester County, I see more Tesla Model 3s on the road than I do Toyota Camrys and Honda Accords and Civics. That just shows you how many people in my geographical area are buying these. And it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a practical car. It's got the performance, all-wheel drive. You got the hatchback utility. You could seat 5 in the back. You got a pretty decent range. This thing is fully charged. It was giving me a range of about 250 miles. I would say that's decent, compared to a car, equivalent car of an internal combustion engine. You're probably going to get about 200 to 220, on a full tank of fuel, depending on the size of the tank. But let's go back to the dynamic again. We're going to go into standard. I want to see if it rides a little bit better. This road that we're on has a lot of speed bumps. Watch. Okay. So it definitely takes a little bit of the harshness out by going into standard mode. So there's only 2 modes. You got standard, you got sport. There's no track mode. And there's no rattles in the car, which is good. Yeah, the one that I showed on the channel years ago, it definitely had some build quality issues. It was a metallic, like a pearlescent white. And this is a nice blue. And that one, the body was like 3 different shades of white. It was like they were painted at 3 different times at the factory and then just assembled out of a parts bin. Really bothered me on that one. But that car got flooded. We had a hurricane come through years ago and that car got flooded and totaled out. And then he ended up picking up this one for his daily. And he, my friend that owns this car, he drives this thing mostly in the New York City area. That's probably why he has the regen braking, where as soon as you let off, if he's on the phone, maybe distracted, it'll automatically put the car down to a stop. I think it's done in the settings on purpose based on, you know, where he's driving this car regularly. But yeah, she drives pretty good. Not bad. Definitely not bad. The one thing I notice on the highway is I'm tending, it could just be the wind, it could be the aerodynamics, maybe going under the car and pulling it. I do feel more of a need to do some steering wheel correction, whereas some cars you could just put your hand on the wheel and drive straight and the car just goes straight. This one's needing a little bit more correction, especially on these roads. We have a lot of crowns in the roads. We have a lot of irregularities between going from asphalt to concrete, to speed bumps, to potholes. So there's a lot going on, and that's why I wanted to take this car on this road to see dynamically how would it be on a daily commute going from my house up to work. So now I kind of know, you know, what it's all about. I mean, it's super comfortable. It's not beating me up. I think if I get the audio system on, if I wasn't doing a video, I would just enjoy it a lot more, but I'm not going to have the audio system for copyright reasons, you know, shooting this video. So we're going to get off in a couple of moments. We're going to go through some back roads, and then I'll conclude my POV drive review of the brand new Tesla Model 3 Performance, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts. So stick around. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, guys, just got off the highway. We're just going to go on this little loop on some back roads, and I'm going to kind of see how this car feels compared to all the other cars that I take on this road every other day. And like I said, on the highway, there's a couple of things that I dislike about this car. Number one, of course, the wind noise. But number two, there's a distinct difference between the way this 25 model feels versus the older one. I think the older one was a 21. The one thing that I remember about the older one with the torque vectoring, so you have, the motors are powering all four wheels, okay? So with the old one, I remember when you used to accelerate, you used to feel, especially the right front and the left front, really pulling you hard and pulling the steering wheel hard during the hard acceleration mode when you were in there. This one feels better controlled and better balanced. The only thing on the highway that I'll put a little gripe about is that it's a little hard to keep the car straight, where I don't know if it was just the aero of the car pulling it, or is it the torque shifting between all the wheels and it's causing the steering input to be a little vague. But when we're going through this road, I mean, it's, you know, it's weird. I usually go through this road and I'm shifting, you know, a manual transmission or paddles, and I'm going through this road without anything, and we're going actually at a pretty decent speed. Now, being that we have all-wheel drive, I feel confident that I'm not going to fly off the road and into a ditch. That's one good thing. And now that I'm starting to drive the car more today, that you let off the accelerator and it starts to slow down, I'm getting used to that. Whereas the older model, I remember you could select it to not regen as hard and to like let off and it would just roll, it would coast. Braking performance is superb. The pedal feel is excellent. There's no complaints about that. Steering feel has a decent weight. I'm gonna play around with it now. Let me go into, we're gonna go into sport. Steering weight's on heavy. I'm gonna go into standard to see if that makes it feel a little bit more natural. All right, it does loosen it up quite a bit. And the way these Teslas are designed, when you're going through like roads like this and you're trying to carve them, you could feel those back wheels, you know, gripping and putting the power down, getting you through these corners. So it's actually kind of enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's a different experience than, you know, a high performance internal combustion car with a dual clutch or with a manual transmission. But another one just went by. There are so many of these cars in this area. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I saw like 6 of them already. So here, we're gonna hit this. I'm getting used to that. We're gonna break off on this little back road over here. Ride quality is excellent. It definitely feels very well tuned, the suspension. It definitely doesn't feel choppy. It doesn't feel floaty. Yeah, when you hit this accelerator, it throws you into the back of the seat. Yeah, this car's got grip. My God. See, now when you're running through this road in a rear-wheel drive car, you know, you kind of have to feel certain things to push it. This car, you can kind of just leisurely just hold on, and it's how much accelerator you want to input, but you definitely got to drive this car with both hands. And I'm also glad that this car doesn't have one of those stupid yoke type steering wheels. Remember, some of them have that, and they put that on the Model Plaid years ago. It was ridiculous. I think you got to have a round steering wheel. I just think it's safer. Yeah, she goes through these corners like nothing. You may feel a little bit of body lean. Yeah, look at this. Wow. Yeah, the seats are excellent. Awesome seats. I gotta admit. I mean, these are some sharp, really sharp transitions. And this car's not a lightweight car. Wow. Really impressive. Really impressive. Wow. Very impressed. So it's got the power, it's got the grip, it's got the brakes, it's got the handling. Steering is, you know, it's that, it's hard to explain. It almost feels like bum steer. You know, conventionally when you have bum steer, it's kind of doing a little of this on a typical car. It kind of has like a weird bum steer effect. You kind of have to get used to it. It's an acquired taste. Not my favorite feel on any car. My old Infiniti Q50 Red Sport years ago had a similar feel with steering, and that had a drive-by-wire steering system. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. But yeah, that would probably be my only complaint with the dynamics of this car would be the steering. Definitely the steering. Where if they could design this in a certain way, or if you could kind of dial some of these parameters back, where you're not getting the pull from those two front wheels, maybe they're, based on the road conditions, you're getting a pull at a different rate on one side of the car versus the other side of the car, and the steering itself, the electronic steering, is trying to compensate for all of that to make it feel natural, and I could feel a little disconnect. That's just something that I notice on this particular one. Now, I could drive another one and maybe it feels different. I don't think so, but it definitely feels better balanced than the earlier one that I showed on the Auto Fanatic channel years ago. It definitely does. Feels better developed, better built, better balanced. Yeah, I mean, you're whipping through these little back roads like nothing. Yeah, so now I kind of like, you know, when you let off, it does that regen brake, so you don't have to really slam on the brake pedal, where if you were to do that, it might send you a little out of control, depending on how tight of a road you're on. But yeah, this thing is boogieing. Absolutely boogieing. See, I let off, now I'm hitting the brake. Yeah, this is wild. Right there, I feel a little squiggly in the rear end. Listen, no car is perfect. I don't care what you buy and how much you spend. No car is perfect on any of these roads or in any of these conditions. So we're gonna get back to the shop. I'll give you guys my final thoughts on what I think of this Model 3 Tesla Performance. But overall, I understand why a lot of people buy them. It just checks off a lot of boxes. And you know what's a funny thing? I think a lot of the people that are buying these cars in my area are not people that are driving it in these insane modes or trying to go through these back roads at these speeds, because I never ever see a Tesla flying around roads. I just never do. In my area, maybe where you live you do, but I don't see these cars being driven aggressively in my area. So All right, guys, we're back from our drive. Let me get out and I'll tell you what I think of this new Tesla Model 3 Performance. Overall, I think the car does perform. It has excellent performance. It's got the power, it's got the braking, it's got the grip, it's got the comfort. The seats are excellent. The styling is still, to me, it's an electric jelly bean. I'm not a huge fan of it. Of course, it's a very sterile driving experience. Also, you know, we don't have the stalks anymore, so you do have to get used to a much more sterile environment. But once you get used to driving the car for a day, it's very, very easy to use. The interface is superb. Audio system, HVAC, everything that thing needs to do as far as a supercomputer, it does it better than every other manufacturer out there right now. Also, I think the seats are some of the best in the business. They're super comfortable. They actually remind me of Volvo seats from back in the days. Super ergonomic, really comfortable. There's plenty of room inside the car as well. Now, the only complaints that I'm going to talk about and I'll emphasize were on the highway, there was a lot of wind noise coming from this area here. I'm not sure, it could just be a QC issue, but I will tell you that this model, this one's most likely built in Texas, far better paint and build than the earlier ones that were built in California. The only other thing that I complained about was on the highway, the car tends to drift a lot and it gets thrown a lot by the aerodynamics and the wind. That's something that was a really big surprise, because if you look at the car, it's pretty streamlined in terms of the shape, but for some reason it does not do well with crosswinds, and it does make you overcorrect your steering wheel quite often. But that also could be part of the torque vectoring, you know, powering up all four wheels and then connected to an electronic steering rack. So there's a lot going on. But overall, you saw how we carved up those back roads. This thing can still be a lot of fun, even though it can be a sterile experience for a lot of driving enthusiasts like myself. But overall, if you haven't driven one, take one for a drive. I think you'll be pretty impressed for what it is. They're not the greatest value. These things are pretty expensive, and pretty expensive monthly payment as well. I think this one is costing him about $900 a month. That's not cheap, but overall, it does what it's supposed to do. It does everything really, really well, and it's also practical. It's got a lot of storage room and the rear hatch, so it's gonna check off a lot of boxes, and that's why we see these all day long in New York. So once again, thanks for staying tuned to the video, and thanks for watching off that channel. Stay tuned for more content. We're coming at you soon. See you guys later.